Hello. What is up, Jeremiah? Jetty Green Hat? What's up, y'all? I'm up till 5 a.m. playing The Walking Dead. What in the world, bro? That's scary, bro. That's scary. Jetty, I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute. In a while. What have you been up to, dude? Jeremiah, how's the translations going? So, okay. I'm gonna read on the screen, but mm, mm, I mean, I guess I could share my screen, bro. On the look. On the look. Just chilling, enjoying the Valentine. Oh my goodness. We love that with Bree. He has been a break. I never heard of that, to be honest. Put it up on my story that you should. Sweet well. Tough. Yeah, we love sleeping. Your streaming has become more and more late, so I can't watch a lot anymore. But now it's holiday. I'm gonna head back to playing The Walking Dead now. You do that, twin. Um, yeah, I guess I'll share my screen. What do I? I'm gonna just read through Ecclesiastes. If y'all want to listen to that, I'll put it on the screen. Why not? I don't know how to do this anymore, really. Mm-mm. Okay, let's size it up. I probably just want to cut it down. Yo, that is that. Okay. Mm, 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 mm. Chat, we love the Bible. It's true. Um, it's kind of tough if I put it like that. Yeah, same. I'm just, I'm out the game, bro. I just be out here. I literally only streaming because I feel like it. And half the time, I really don't even feel like it, to be honest. All right, if y'all have a problem with what I got on the screen, just open up your Bible at that point. I could care less. Yeah, we're gonna work with that because I don't want. It kind of looks tough. It's kind of tough. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. Hard to say. How about this? Best of both worlds, right? It's pretty funny. Okay, Ecclesiastes. Literally, I love Ecclesiastes. Proverbs used to be my favorite book, but that quickly got taken over by Ecclesiastes. Um, and I think every Christian really has to understand Ecclesiastes because I think it could be easy just to read through and be like, oh, okay. But I think this is the best guard against like idols. Idols in the sense of not Zeus and those the pagan guys, but like idols. Money could become an idol. Success or whatever insert object just pulls you away from God. And what I think this book really does is shows you how is the word of the day going to be strenuous, something like that. The world can be, and just vain, uh, because it don't really matter in the end. What does matter, you'll see in the end, is chief end of man is to enjoy God and glorify Him forever. Um, do you love stream improvements? Is this an ad? We'll exit out of that. So I'm gonna read, and if you have questions, like I don't know, you can ask them if you want. Should I put music over this? I actually have to listen to music in the background because of whatchamacallit. The my headphones will just cut out and I won't know. But if I got music, I'm gonna put reading. Can't wait to hear this. Actually, we're gonna use that. This kind of sounds tough. Can you hear that, Jetty? I can hear it, but I don't know if that's because of my headphones are like maxed out right now. It's just that soft little. Ideally, I like to have it in between when I talk. Kind of makes it, less weird to listen to. I don't know. That's just me though. I forgot about that though. It's BGM. I don't even know what that means. Basic background music? Oh, background music. Okay. Oh, what the heck am I doing? Oh, what the heck, Mr. B's clicking buttons like crazy. Oh, what the heck, Mr. B's clicking buttons like crazy. Oh, what the heck, Mr. B's clicking. Holy moly! Mr. B's clicking. Oh, I just realized you can hear Chrome. And I was like, why is it going back? I stopped playing that. Doesn't matter. Ecclesiastes. Yeah, thank you, Jetty. BGM, we're going to use that in the future. Chapter 1 in the ESV. All is vanity. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again. All things are full of weariness, a man cannot under it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Is there a new thing of which is said, see, this is new? It has been already, in the ages before us. There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of later things yet to be, among those who come after. The preacher had been king over Israel and Jerusalem, and I applied my heart to seek and to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. It is an unhappy business that God has given the children of man to be busy with. That's such an interesting verse, just because it's saying that that whatever this is not necessarily like a curse or something. This is something Like, this is something God gave us. It's like, that's interesting. I've seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and striving after wind. Remember, this is the richest guy in, probably the world at this point. So I think he had almost every reason to say, yeah, he did everything. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. I said in my heart, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me. And my heart has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. Was a smarty pants. And I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is but a striving after wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation. This is such a tough verse. This is such a tough verse. And he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. If y'all don't know what this means, this is really just a minor saying of ignorance is bliss, really. The more you know, big yikes. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. He's about to get freaky. And but behold, this is also vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of pleasure, what use is it? I searched in my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly till I might see what is good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their life. I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks, and planted them in all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. I bought male and female slaves, and had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, the delight of the sons of man. Hold on. What's up, Hunter? Yesterday my friend had a seizure today at the gas station. With me, broke his nose really bad. They had to threaten the cops to get him to the ER, made him do a head scan, but won't let them check out anymore. It's so stupid. So now we have no idea why he had a seizure. Dang, I went out of my prayer book, bro. I was gonna put my post-it actually on his friend's seizure. Dang, that does not sound good, especially with a broken nose. How you been, bud? Okay. So I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whatever my eyes desired did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil that I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity and striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. Really, this is that would be a case right there of a case against hedonism. Just taking as much pleasure as you can. So I turned to consider wisdom and madness of folly. For what can the man do who comes after the king? Only what has already been done. Then I saw that there is more gain in wisdom than in folly, and as there is more gain in light than in darkness. The wise person has his eyes in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. And yet I perceive that the same event happens to all of them. Then I said in my heart, what happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise? And I said in my heart, this is also vanity. For of the wise, as of the fool, there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten. How the wise dies just like the fool. So this is a case against being a smarty pants. I'm like, I don't need to read that. We're all gonna die anyway. It's a joke. So I hated life because what is done under the sun was grievous to me. For all is vanity and striving after wind. I hated all my toil in which I toiled under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool. Yet he will be a master of all for which I toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors under the sun, because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This is also vanity and a great evil. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is a vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This is also vanity. There is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. For apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given him wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he has given the business of gathering and collecting, and to give to the one who pleases God. This also is vanity and striving after wind. This has always thrown me off, because I'm like, is he just complaining at this point? But why would you say this is from God? So this must mean that, like, whatever this is good, in some way. Even though it sounds like he just complained about this, but I think the problem is, this is good, but this is a good means, but not a good end. The problem I think this dude is struggling with. He's trying to find an end to all this stuff. What is the chief end of man? We know that answer, but he's like, oh, is it building stuff? I'll build everything my heart desires. This is kind of mid. This isn't the end. And he realizes this. Is it just eating and just finding enjoyment in everything? No, that's not it. But it is a means. And he says, this is good. This is a good type of means. This isn't evil. Like, the mean in and of itself isn't evil. But it just can't be the end. That's my understanding of it. Because God gives us enjoyment. God gives us food. And, but that isn't the end. For everything there is a season, a time for every matter under heaven. This part's so tough. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. Kind of rhymed. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war. A time for war and a time for peace. What gain has the worker from his toil? I have seen the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. He has made everything beautiful in its time. This is really interesting. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I perceive that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live, that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift for man. And actually, I think this is the verse that throws me off all the time. I'm like, how is this a gift? Isn't he just complaining about this? He said, gains the work from his toil, and then he's like, okay. But I've been watching some videos, and here's the thought. This is really interesting because there's times for things, and that might sound novel, but like, people might get too much in their head and think, every time has to be for like planting. You got to be planting. Got to plant. Life is for planting, and you're supposed to be doing that. Again, that's the error, is thinking that this is the end. That's the ends. You get means and then you get ends. Life is all about dancing. You gotta dance. You gotta enjoy life and dance. But there's also a time to mourn. And the interesting thing is, who is this guy?
Chloe Perry
Chloe loves God.
Welcome to
What's up, Chloe Perry? Tell me about yourself. I just be reading Ecclesiastes right now. Welcome in. How's your day? Consider vanity more like smoke, something that can't be grasped or attained. I watched a devotion from a Bible project that talks about it. Make more clarity to Ecclesiastes. Yeah, I love that video. Chloe's good. Chloe. We love that. Chloe, you ever read Ecclesiastes before? I just kind of be yapping about it right now. But yeah, that's exactly right. Jetty. It's it's somehow in grasp, but you can't grasp it. So Solomon was like, we assume Solomon. He's like trying to grasp it, you can't grasp it. So he's like, this sucks. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this might be the second time he says under heaven. This is pivotal. Before he's always saying under the sun, and this is concerning. Hey, got has to be someone's Valentine's W's. We love to hear it. What'd you say? You say, get away from me, freak. Or you say, oh, I've been waiting for so long for you to ask me that. And now you guys are engaged, or something like that. I don't know how the story goes. So this is from the perspective of God, which I think is pretty interesting. So you have the under the sun, and then you have under heaven. I would think this is from a video, so who knows about this exegete, but under the sun is going to be referring to material things, and nothing material can of itself have meaning. But when you look at it from God's perspective, of course it's going to have meaning. So which is going to connect to this last part because it's kind of like sandwiched in there. Where is it at? He is upper bro, am I stupid? There we go. He has made everything beautiful in its time. I don't know, man. This is that's interesting because in its time, because it has a time to be beautiful and a time to not. You know what I mean? And that's pretty interesting. So there's times, and these are ordained by God. So there's times for stuff. I didn't mean to do that. So that's just something to think about. You know what I mean? There's a time, you got highs and lows. Highs and lows. Ever see that whatever God does endures forever, nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken away from it. God has done it so that people fear before him. That which is already has been, that which is to be has already been, and God seeks what has been driven away. Moreover, I saw under the sun that in the place of justice even there was wickedness, and in the place of righteousness even there was a wickedness. I said in my heart, God will judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time for every matter and for every work. I said in my heart, with regard to the children of man, that God is testing them, that they may see that they themselves are but beasts. Total depravity confirmed. For what happens to the children of man and what happens to the beast is the same. As one dies, so dies the other. They all have the same breath. A man has no advantage over the beast, for all's vanity. All go to one place, all are from the dust, and to dust all return. Who knows whether the spirit of man goes upward and the spirit of the beast goes down into the earth? So I saw that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his work, for that is his lot. Who can bring him to see what will be after him? I said yes, of course. W's, you love to see it. As Dub never thought I heard that. I don't know. I kind of sung. We do love Ecclesiastes. Miss Sydney, how are you doing today? Welcome in. How's the fam? Again, I saw the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of the oppressed, and they had no one to comfort them. On the side of their oppressors there was power, and there was no one to comfort them. And I thought the dead who are already dead more fortunate than the living who are still alive. But better than both is he who has not yet been born and has not seen the evil deeds that are done under the sun. This is just so pessimistic, like holy moly, that he's like, well, it's better if you're dead than alive. And he goes, but better yet as if you don't even exist yet, which is just, man, this guy's going through it. Then I saw that all the toil and all the skill and work comes from a man's envy of his neighbor. This also is vanity and striving after one. This is just keeping up with the Joneses, basically. The fool folds his hands and eats his own flesh, not working. Better is a handful of quietness than 2 handfuls of toil and striving after wind. Better is a handful of quietness than 2 handfuls of toil. Yeah. Better is just having little and being content than having so much and you have nothing, really. You're not content. Again, I saw vanity under the sun, one person who has no other, either son or brother, yet there is no end to all his toil, and his eyes are never satisfied with riches that he never asks. For whom am I toiling and depriving myself of pleasure? This also is vanity and unhappy business. Two are better than this. I always say this all the time, dude. Two, dude. Two are better. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. Better was a poor and wise youth than an old and foolish king who no longer knew how to take advice. For he went from prison to the throne. Through his own kingdom he had been born poor. I saw all the living who move about under the sun, along with the youth who was to stand in the king's place. There was no end of all the people, all of whom he led. Yet those who come later will not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and striving after wind. So tough. Great, how are you? Blessed by the best as always. You already know it. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. To draw near to listen is better than to offer the sacrifice of fools. To draw near to listen is better than to offer the sacrifice of fools. For they do not know that they are doing evil. Be not rash with your mouth, nor let your heart be hasty to utter a word before God. For God is in heaven and you are on earth. Therefore let your words be few. For a dream comes with much business, and a fool's voice with many words. Let your words be few does not mean like stop talking to God. It just means mean what you're saying to God. In the same way, you probably don't want your partner just rambling to you, or just a sibling, whoever, just rambling nonsensical stuff and just, talking to talk and really just hear their own voice. That gets really annoying because you're not really talking to them, you're talking at them. So when you talk to God, make sure you're talking to God and not just at God and just being like, oh, this happened. Like, he loves you, but, this is also a person you're talking to. And he's low-key the God of the universe on the high note. Low-key, high-key. Big stack. I just came from the twin stream. I never heard of the twin stream. To this one title, Baba Twin. What does the synchronicity mean? It means that twins are a common word. Big Stat, what you been up to, dog? Hi, Miss Ellie. How are you doing today? How we doing? When you vow a vow to God, do not delay paying it, for he has no pleasure in fools. This is a case against not being stupid. Pay what you vow. It is better that you should not vow, than that you should vow and not pay. Let not your mouth lead you into sin, and do not say before the messenger that it was a mistake. Why should God be angry at your voice and destroy the work of your hands? For when the dreams increase and words grow many, there is vanity. But God is the one you must fear. Oh, this is tough. Peak alert. If you see a province, the oppression... I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, really. If you see a province, the oppression of the poor, and the violation of justice and righteousness, do not be amazed at the matter, for the high official is watched by a higher, and there are yet higher ones over them. But this is gain for a land in every way, a king committed to cultivated fields. He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves wealth with his income. This also is vanity. When goods increase, they increase who eat them, and what advantage has the owner but to see them with his eyes? Sweet is the sleep of the laborer, whether he eats little or much, but the full stomach of the rich will not let him sleep. There is a grievous evil that I have seen under the sun. Riches were kept by their owner to his hurt, and those riches were lost in a bad venture. And he is a father of a son, but he has nothing in his hand. As he came from his mother's womb, he shall go again, naked as he came, and shall take nothing for his toil that he may carry away in his hand. This also is a grievous evil. Just as he came, shall he go. And Ellie, what are we
The
doing,
other just
Gangi?
subscribed for 4 months. Thank
Gangi.
you for the support.
Ellie,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah.
doing? Yeah, yeah. No subbing. No subbing. No subbing. I'll pay for your sub next time. Thank you very much, Miss Ellie. God bless you. That is not necessary. Oh, add one while I give you money. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yo, bro, my name means twin. Voss? Hello. This is the trifecta. Why are you gracing us with your lovely face? What does that mean? You do or do not like my face? I can't tell. Thank you, Miss Ellie. That is not necessary. This guy. Yeah, we love that emote. Why not you're spreading the word? This is true. This is true. I need your money, though. I forgot about though. I wouldn't sub the main, put it that way. Speaking of subs, I could really go for some Subway. I wouldn't go for Subway, but I could just eat something. There's a twist for win. Moreover, all his days he eats in darkness in much vexation, sickness, and anger. Behold, what I have seen to be good and fitting is to eat and drink and find enjoyment in all the toil with which one toils under the sun, the few days of his life that God has given him, for this is his lot. Everyone also to whom God has given wealth and possessions and power to enjoy them and to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil. This is the gift of God. For he will not much remember the days of his life because God keeps him occupied with joy in his heart. This is such an interesting, conclusion for this chapter. I'm like, dude, weren't you just complaining about this? This is, not good. And I was like, well, yeah, it's actually pretty good. And I can only go back to that as really bad as it ends, but it's fine as it means. And this is because we go back to, what was it, chapter 3, that you have eternity in your heart. And there's not a, I want to make sure my headphones don't break. There's not let's be so for real. Okay, nice comment, awesome. And I get a cool email back. This is true. This is true. I'm like, there's really nothing God needs for us to do. It doesn't need you. Even in creation, he didn't need you, but he wanted you, so he made you. You know what I mean? So it's okay, well then what? Well, enjoy what he's given you. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if your child, this is how I think of it. If my child is like, what do you mean to do? It's like, dude, you're 5 years old. You can't do anything I need you to do anyways. And just enjoy what I give you. Just, play with your toys. Enjoy the food that I gave you that you didn't work for. And, you're fine with it. Live in my house, up to a set point. And, life's great. And I think about it in the same way because, what could we offer to God? We should just enjoy what he gives us and, make sure to build that relationship there because he doesn't really need you anyways. He wants you, and that's kind of the whole emphasis on that. Kind of like your significant other. You don't need them particularly, but you want them, and that's why you choose them. What a fitting message for Valentine. Everyone also... Yeah, that was chapter 6, yeah. There's an evil that I've seen under the sun, and it lies heavy on mankind. A man to whom God gives wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing of all that he desires. Yet God does not give him power to enjoy them, but a stranger enjoys them. This is vanity. It is a grievous evil. If a man fathers 100 children and lives many years, so that the days of his years are many, but his soul is not satisfied with life's good things, and he also has no burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. Wow. For it comes in vanity and goes in darkness, and in darkness its name is covered. Moreover, it has not seen the sun nor known anything, yet it finds rest rather than he. Even though he should live 1,000 years twice over, yet enjoy no good, do not all go to the one place. All the toil of man is for his mouth, yet his appetite is not satisfied. For what advantage has the wise man over the fool? And what does the poor man have who knows how to conduct himself before the living. Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the appetite. This also is vanity and striving after wind. Whatever has come to be has already been named, and it is known what man is and what he is not able to dispute with one stronger than he. The more words, the more vanity, and what is the advantage to man? For who knows what is good for man while he lives the few days of his vain life, which he passes like a shadow? For who can tell man what will be after him under the sun? Again, kind of repeating himself and kind of going spiraling back. A good name is better than a precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than go to the house of feasting, for this is the end of all mankind, and all the living will lay it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness of face the heart is made glad. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of a fool is in the house of mirth. It is better for a man to hear the rebuke of the wise than to hear the song of fools. For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fools. This also is vanity. Surely oppression drives the wise into madness, and a bribe corrupts the heart. Better is the end of a thing than its beginning, and the patient in the spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Be not quick in your spirit to become angry, for anger lodges in the heart of fools. Say not, why are the former days better than these? For it is not from wisdom that you ask this. Wisdom is good with an inheritance and an advantage to those who seek the Son. For the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money, and the advantage of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of him who has it. Consider the work of God, who can make straight what he has made crooked. In the day of prosperity be joyful, and in the day of adversity consider God has made the one as well as the other, so that man may not find out anything that will be after him. In my vain life I have seen everything. There is a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man who prolongs his life in his evil doing. Be not overly righteous, and do not make yourself too wise. Why should you destroy yourself? Be not overly wicked, neither be a fool. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you should take hold of this, and from that withhold not your hand, for the one who fears God shall come out from both of them. Wisdom gives strength to the wise man, more than 10 rulers who are in a city. Surely there is not a righteous man on earth who does good and never sins. This is like a peak verse, by the way. This is also kind of talking about total depravity. Do not take to heart all the things that people say, lest you hear your servant cursing you. Your heart knows that many times you yourself have cursed others. All this I have tested by wisdom. I said, I will be wise, but it was far from me. That which has been is far off and deep, very deep. Who can find it out? I turned my heart to know and to search out and to seek wisdom and the scheme of things, and to know the wickedness of folly and the foolishness that is madness. And I find something more bitter than death, the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and whose hands are fetters. He who pleases God escapes her, but the sinner is taken by her. Behold, this is what I found, says the preacher, while adding one thing to another to find the scheme of things, which my soul has sought repeatedly, but have not found. One among 1,000 I found, but a woman among all these I have not found. See, this alone I found, that God made man upright, but they have sought out many schemes. So tough, so tough. Who is like the wise, and who knows the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom makes his face shine, and the hardness of his face is changed. I say, keep the king's command because of God's oath to him. Be not hasty to go forth from his presence. Do not take your stand in an evil cause, for he does whatever he pleases. For the word of the king is supreme, and who can say to him, what are you doing? Whoever keeps the command will know no evil thing, and the wise heart will know the proper time and just way, and the just way. Goodness. For there is a time and a way for everything, although man's trouble lies heavy on him. For he does not know what is to be, for who can tell him how it will be? No man has power to retain the spirit, or power over the day of death. There is no discharge from war, nor will wickedness deliver those who are given to it. And this I observe with applying my heart to all that is done under the sun, when man had power over man to his hurt. Then I saw the wicked buried, and they used to go in and out of the holy place and were praised in the city where they had done such things. This also is vanity, because the sentence against an evil deed is not executed speedily. The heart of the children of man is fully set to do evil. So tough. Though a sinner does evil 100 times and prolongs his life, yet I know that it will be well with those who fear God, because they fear before him. Yet it will not be well with the wicked, neither will he prolong his days like a shadow, because he does not fear before God. There's a vanity that takes place on earth that are righteous people, to whom it happens to according to the deeds of the wicked, and there are wicked people to whom which it happens according to the deeds of the righteous. I said that this also is vanity, and I commend joy, for man has nothing better under the sun but to eat and drink and be joyful, for this will go with him in his toil through the days of his life that God has given him under the sun. When I applied my heart to know wisdom and to see the business that is done on earth, how neither day nor night do one's eyes see sleep, then I saw all the work of God, that man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun. However much man may toil in seeking, he will not find it out. Even though a wise man claims to know, he cannot find out. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, what he's saying right there is that, what's up, Creepy? How you doing, bud? God bless you, bud. So I didn't see that message earlier. I'm just reading. You know, nobody can perfectly know the will of God, and those who do claim to know it probably don't know it, because it's a mystery, and there's some things that he just hasn't revealed to us. Let me check something real quick. So that's something. Everybody and their mama playing Arc Raiders, dude. I've been playing Satisfactory. What was I doing? But all this I laid to heart, examining it all, how the righteous and the wise and their deeds are in the hand of God. Whether it is love or hate, man does not know. Both are before him. It is the same for all, since the same event happens to the righteous and the wicked, to the good and evil, to the clean and the unclean, to him who sacrifices and him who does not sacrifice. As the good one is, so is the sinner, and he who swears is as he who shuns an oath. This is an evil in all that is done under the sun, that the same event happens to all. Also the hearts of the children of man are full of evil, and madness is in their hearts while they live, and after that they go to the dead. But he who is joined with all the living has hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Their love and their hate and their envy have already perished, and forever they have no more share in all that is done under the sun. Go, eat your bread with joy, and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already approved what you do. Let your garments be always white. Let not oil be lacking in your head, or on your head. I'm like, what's going on? I got oil in my brain, bro. Enjoy life with your wife, whom you love, all the days of your vain life that he has given you under the sun, because really he just means the brevity of your life, because that is your portion in life, and in your toil at which you toil under the sun. Whatever your hands find to do with your might, for there is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom show to which you are going. Again I saw that under the sun the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent, nor favor to those with knowledge, but time and chance happen to them all. This actually contrasts with Proverbs. Proverbs is my favorite book because it kind of just it used to just follow this logic. Like, if you're swift, you'll win the race, and if you are smart, you'll outsmart your enemies. And here Ecclesiastes is just like, there's no guarantee in life at all for like anything ever. Like that could help. It could. But it's not going to be perfect. Good night, Jody. God bless you. You, Miss Bree. Love y'all. And that's, that's a pretty interesting concept, because sometimes we can feel as if, really that's what's right there saying life's just not fair. We can feel that very Proverbs life of, I'll do this and get that, I'll do this and do that. When we forget, time and chance happens to all of us. So, for man does not know his time, like fish that are taken in an evil net, and like birds that are caught in a snare. So the children of man are snared at an evil time, when it suddenly falls upon them. No one knows when they're going to die. Also, I've seen this example of wisdom under the sun, and it seemed great to me. There was a little city with a few men in it, and a great king came against it and besieged it, building great siege works against it. But there found in it poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that poor man. But I say that wisdom is better than might, though the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of the wise, heard in quiet, are better than the shouting of a ruler amongst fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. Dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a stench. So little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. Little folly, no one be follying, bro. A wise man's heart inclines him to the right, but a fool's heart to the left. Even when the fool walks on the road, he lacks sense, and he says to everyone that he is a fool. If the anger of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your place, for calmness will lay great offense to rest. There is an evil that I have seen under the sun, as it were an error proceeding from the ruler. Folly is set in many high places, and the rich sit in a low place. I've seen slaves on horses and princes walking on the ground like slaves. What does it even mean? Princes walking on the ground? Like, what else did they do? What are they, levitating? I guess this is just like talking about like mud. I don't know. Or they're just, they're just roughed up, you know what I mean? He who digs a pit will fall into it, and a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. And a serpent will bite him who breaks through a wall. He who quarries stones is hurt by them, and he who splits logs is endangered by them. If the iron is blunt and one does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength, but wisdom helps one to succeed. If the serpent bites before it is charmed, there is no advantage to the charmer. I'll have to come back to that. The words of a wise man's mouth win him favor, but the lips of a fool consume him. The beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness. At the end of his talk is evil madness. Evil madness. This is presuming that there is good madness. A fool multiplies words, though no man knows what it is to be, and who can tell him what will be after him? The toil of a fool wearies him, for he does not know the way to the city. Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child, and your princes feast in the morning. What does that even mean? Happy are you, O land, when your king is the son of the nobility, and your princes' feasts are at the proper time, for strength, and not for drunkenness. Through sloth the roof sinks in, and through indolence?
Indolence.
Avoidance of activity or exertion. The house leaks. Bread is made for laughter, and wine gladdens life, and money answers everything. Even in your thoughts, do not curse the king, nor in your bedroom curse the rich, for a bird of the air will carry your voice, or some winged creature tell the matter. This is such an interesting thing to write down. Big stack! Many times Jesus said, "It is not my time." Then he said his time has come. Him knowing is a testament of him being God. He chose to lay his life down. Nothing was a prize. Praise God, amen. What's up, shout out to you? How you doing, bud? I was reading through Ecclesiastes. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a portion of 7 or 8 or even to 8. I imagine he says 6 to 7. For you know not what disaster may happen on earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves in the earth, or if a tree falls to the south or to the north, and the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he regards the clouds will not reap. This is a farming thing, I think, because Because, like, you guys always look, at the clouds for rain. You just never plant. As you do not know the way the Spirit comes to the bones in the womb of a woman with child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. In the morning sow your seed, and at evening withhold not your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, this or that, or whether both alike will be good. Light is sweet, and it is pleasant for the eyes to see the sun. So if touch grass is what that's saying right there, isn't it? So if a person lives many years, let him rejoice in them all, but let him remember the days of darkness will be many. All that comes is vanity. Rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart in the sight of your eyes. But know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment. Remove vexation from your heart and put away pain from your body, for youth in the dawn of life or vanity. Word. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and your years draw near of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them, before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened and the clouds are turned after the rain, and the day when the keepers of the house tremble and the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed, and the doors of the street are shut. When the sound of the grinding is low, and one rises up the sound of a bird, all the daughters of a song are brought low. They are afraid of what is high, and the terrors are on the way. The almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper drags itself along, and desire fails because man is going to his eternal home. And the mourners go about the streets, before the silver cord is snapped, or the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. And the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Vanity of vanity, says the preacher, all is vanity. Besides being wise, the preacher also taught the people knowledge, weighing and studying and arranging many proverbs with great care. The preacher sought to find words of delight, and uprightly he wrote words of truth. The words of the wise are like goads, and like nails firmly fixed are they collected sayings. They are given by one shepherd. My son, beware of anything beyond these. Of making many books there is no end, and much study is weariness of the flesh. Everybody, let's say it together. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, with every secret thing, whether good or evil. Yay! That concludes Ecclesiastes, folks. It's a very short book, and you might be like, man, why the heck is that your favorite? That last verse, I think, is a banger. Where's my tab? So in systematic theology, I think it was the first question. Yeah, question 1: what is the chief end of man? Answer: man's chief end is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. The answer speaks 3 things: design, glory, and joy. And then there's a whole section of this. I mean, I think we got to really understand what that means, because you come into life. Let me put this link in the chat. You just kind of start going, and then it's like, where am I going? Where are we going to? What am I supposed to do in my life? And if people really don't question that, I kind of question their how deep are you? Like, you don't have to ask that, but I mean, at the same time, it's just like introspection is so W's, because how do you know whether you're going the right direction or the wrong direction in life? Assuming there is one. I've I've wondered. This is like from the last verse. Oh, let me see. Verse 14 for. I'll do the last section. Verse 13. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. 14. For God will bring every deed into judgment, whether every. Oh my goodness. Verse 14. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. Yes. Always praying. Shout out to beloved dude. And why is life the way it is? Why am I here? Why am I given the things that I am? Because it's quite interesting. Like, you couldn't choose where you were born, who you were born to, physical details. Um, we'll say what's that phenotypes, like genetic, what you look like, or how you think. Um, how you think could be changed, but some people are just naturally more anxious than others. Some people are like naturally more industrial. You know what I mean? They're more industrious. They like factories and stuff. Like what nerds assume. Some people couldn't care less. And those are like interesting things because those aren't choices. You're given that when you're born. And like even after all of those things, which are kind of like a moment in time, I don't know. Like, and then like you got challenges later. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, but like if you're white, you can't really just change that. Or if you're born in like Australia, like you are born in Australia, like this is a fact, and a child can easily move to like Canada or something. That's what I'm referring to. Like you can change a good amount, but you just at the end of the day, it's night, chat. By the way, if you didn't know, at the end of the day, it's night. So it's like, okay, well, what do we make of this? You have decisions to make, and it's like, okay, well, what decision should I make? Because if you're trying to get to a destination, if you're trying to go A to B, there's going to be paths to take you to C and G and Z. You want to go there, you want to go to B. What's that quote? If no port is, if you got no port, no wind's favorable, something like that. That's an interesting thought. So where are you going? What should I do? What is the end? What is the chief end of life? And you can't set your birth date nor death date. You can't set your challenges. You can't set a lot. Like you really, really, really can't change a lot of things. So I think the conclusion of Ecclesiastes is fear God and keep his commandments. What does that fear God mean? Fear God does not mean like be scared and like hide under your bed because you are scared of God. That's not what it means by fear. Fear here is more like a reverence, more of a respect. Place him at the right part of your life. In the same way, if a police officer came in your house, well, you can't do that. It's like against the amendments or something like that. You know, you wouldn't just be like throwing punches or something like that. You're gonna be like, oh, this is someone. This person has authority. This is or a president. You know what I mean? Whatever, prime minister. You know, it doesn't mean they have like more value because you're equally man, but it does mean they have authority. There's a respect there. So when you have reverence for God, you're not scared and like hiding. You have a respect. You're like, oh, this is God. This is an authority figure. You can, approach with respect. And enjoy your life, which is an interesting slippery slope from Christian hedonism, which I still have to work out. But like, how do you avoid that and I think it's a the slope. I think the difference between hedonism is basically just like maximize pleasure, if I'm not mistaken. That's like really the goal. At least that's what it is functionally, anyways. But the difference would be like it's good to have pleasure, but it's also good to have like non-pleasure. So, as I said, with those events, it's a time for dancing and a time not to, a time to mourn, a time to die, and a time to birth, all these different things. So there's times to do things. So sometimes it's not time to enjoy stuff, um, and that would be like not a hedon's way, especially when you get into like atheistic hedonism, which is just at any means necessary to give yourself pleasure. So manipulation and stuff. So you know that's not exactly what it is. So just enjoy life, not because you should enjoy it for enjoying's sake, but enjoy the person who gave it to you, because really nothing really matters otherwise. If Christianity wasn't true, who wouldn't be a hedonist? Like really, you know, why not? But because Christianity is true, you it puts things into the right perspective. Wait a minute, life isn't about this. And there's a little bit more. The people that God gives you around you. Like if you read the Bible, it's so relational. Like not just to God, but to like everybody. And I think that's significant. So have people in your life. That's probably good. I'm not really reading the chat, am I? I'm just kind of yapping. Why am I yapping? If you are, hold on, if you are in Jesus and you no longer have your life because He paid for it with His blood, and He knows you know this stuff. I know you know this stuff, but if we don't act accordingly, we're only fooling ourselves. Right. Oh, I see why you can't. Okay. Set your mind on the things above, not on the things that are on earth, for you died, and your life has been hidden in Christ God. When Christ, who is our life, is manifested, then you also be manifested with Him in glory. Which is interesting because that almost sounds like Gnosticism. I know it isn't, of course, but I'm just we're playing, we're just going everywhere. Um, if it's not hedonism, then is it Gnosticism? When I refer to Gnosticism, I'm referring to, because you got to define your terms. Everything material is bad and everything spiritual is good, which is like so not true, because God made material. There goes the Gnostic argument, like immediately. The Gnostics were these Greeks, and they were like they were trying to be like minimalists, really. They're just trying to like be like these stoic, no, really trying to be like Buddhists, really, and just like reach enlightenment. You know what I mean? They just hate it, like material stuff, but like that's not true. That really would go against what Ecclesiastes is saying about just be merry with the life that God gave you. Like there's nothing wrong with that. The Gnostics would be like, and we don't want to have it's you can easily get in this too, Christian hedonism and Christian Gnosticism, which is just trying to focus your mind so much on heaven that you forget the people around you. You ever hear about stuff like that? These people have like whole families and they just leave them to be a missionary, and it's just like, what are we doing? I don't really think this is how this is supposed to work. They just neglect your family. That's not right. You know what I mean? Well, or just be a monk. I think that's like really destructive. If you have a family, just go monk, bro. What are we doing? I think that's the warning that Paul gives us. Is like, hey, it's better if you're single to go be a missionary because you don't really have a family to be responsible for and attend to. But if you do have a family, now they need you, so your priorities just changed immediately. It's having a right reverence and respect, but it's also having fear in a sense that you understand a lion uncaged sitting in front of you has the ability to unleash. It's so true. Not that God is going to unleash His wrath on you, but for no good reason, but understand that He is all powerful, and you are but dust. That's so true. Yeah, and that's a really good respect. And that comes from, I think, also introspection, because you would have to know that you are evil, um, and that only God can save you. So the idea there is just to combat pride, because you don't want to be like, oh, God's on my side. It's like, no, God's not on your side. You know, God's on God's side, and where do you sit with? And I think that's one of my favorite passages. Was it Judges when the angel of the Lord? No, Joshua was the book of Joshua. The angel of the Lord just standing there, which is what we think is Jesus, a theophany, or theophany. And he's like, "Are you for me or are you for my enemies?" I'm like, "I'm on neither." And it's just like, how often we do that? Oh, God's on my side. It's like, no, He's not on your side. You're on His. You know what I mean? So act accordingly. Act accordingly. We talk about, and I got Taco Bell ad, bro. You love Taco Bell. Yet He made it still. Oh, yes, He made it, but He did not make it in a fallen state. Right. All right, that sounds like Abraham Lincoln quote. What did I say? It's not what you could do for you. It's what you could do for your country. Yeah. I just hate when people use that. Like, oh, I'm on God's side. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Or no, yeah, God's on my side. No, I'm on God's side. Not He's on my side. That can be semantically hard. Oh, bit of a tongue twister. Well, folks, I don't know. What's been plaguing you lately? Not much, just tired. You already know, gangy. Do we read through this in my bag? Oh! I might read a book on stream one of these days. I'll rarely I rarely read for myself. Excuse me. So my thinking was, you know, if I read on stream, I could just like chill. You don't just pop up for no reason. What's up? No, that's my. I stream sporadically now. Have you ever heard of Tozer? I've never heard of Tozer. What is that? Seems chill. Those 3 W's. Might check him out. I'm gonna put on my watch history just so I can have it. I might go through this. Why Christianity? This is from Living Waters Ministry, and it was free. It said Volume 1. I was really interested in, what does that mean? And when I got it, it kind of low-key smelled bad, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of smelled like poo-poo. You know what I mean? I was like, bro, who pooped in this book, bro? But it was free, so, can't really complain. And I was scrolling through. It was in no way what I really thought. It's check out this. It's more like a picture book. I'm like, really? That's probably all that ink, dude. But anyways, I thought I'd go through it with y'all. Kind of like a picture book reading time. Are you a fanning? What the heck? Are you fanning fecal matter? I am not. It smells like it, but it's not. Contents: letter from the editor. Why Christianity has hit? Why Christianity? Oh, what the heck? Oh, these are pages. I'm like, what kind of chapters are these? It was 1-357. Why Christianity was hidden from me. Why Christianity makes sense of suffering. Why Christianity has a corner of truth. Why Christianity compels us to compassion and testimony. The average person reads the equivalent of 80 to 100 books a year. Dude, I don't know a single person who reads a book a year. Hard to believe, isn't it? Isn't it? Yes, studies show. Let me show everyone what I'm reading. Yes, studies show we take in 20,000 to 40,000 words every day through ads, captions, and endless scrolling. If those words came from books instead of pixels, we'd finish a small library each year. That's a good point. I think of this when people ask how I read so many books. The truth is, I don't read more than most. My attention is just placed elsewhere. Our word intake is wide, but the depth is often shallow. That's why I've become an advocate for reading for depth. Christianity is a thinking person's faith, after all. One way we are sharpened our God-given ability is to reason it. Sorry, is to read. One way we sharpen our God-given ability is to reason is by interacting with other thinkers. Reading is, in many ways, a conversation with the author. Imagine spending your money with Spurgeon, fellowshipping about devotion, having lunch with Augustine, discussing politics, and ending your day with C.S. Lewis discussing apologetics over a cup of tea. That's the gift of focused reading. How's that joke? How you doing, bud? You know, I agree with that. Yet, book reading is not historic lows with many adults finishing fewer than one a year. So perhaps it's time to reimagine the form. What if the substance of a book could meet the visual rhythm of social media? That's the vision of this chronicle. We paired rich ideas with striking visuals, hoping to create something both thoughtful and delightful. Christianity is not only about the truth for the mind and goodness for the will, but is also about beauty for the heart. Augustine showed us that God is the source of all three: truth, goodness, and beauty. We often emphasize the first two, but beauty also has its power. It draws the unbeliever to Christ and deepens our love for him. This is why this chronicle leans into beauty. We open with Ray Comfort sharing his personal testimony of how he came to realize the difference between Christianity and religion. That's so lame, bro. I'm not gonna lie. And why the difference is life changing. Easy writes on why Christianity compels us toward compassion. Reminding us that the truth and goodness without love can harden to harshness. Mark Spence shows us how Christianity is our only hope for truth, and I contribute an article on how Christianity is not only explains suffering, but also offers the one true source of hope. If this style blesses you, we will love to hear from you. If the chronicle resonates, we'll prayerfully consider creating more. May these words and images awaken wonder in you. May they stir your affections for the one who is truth, goodness, and beauty. Many of the God and may the God of peace guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus until the day we see him face to face. How long is the first chapter? Because I was thinking, I wanted to do this. I wanted to show y'all. I made an infographic about Thomas Aquinas's. This goes off of Holy moly! How much did he write? Oh god! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Okay, well we'll come back to that. It's much longer than I thought. On my educate, bro, I have like no takes ever. I made this way back, and one of the things is off, but you know whatever. Don't care, bro. Let's see. Come on, Mr. B, where's it at? Where's it at? Did I delete it? It's got to that point where I don't even know if I delete stuff anymore. Rich hot show, boy. I think I deleted it, bruh. So freaking lame, dude. Why would I do that? No, I didn't. Mr. B just can't see stuff. One of these is off. I can't remember which one. I think it's one on the bottom, but I'll zoom in a second here. I made this, by the way. This is because I did a class off the Thomas Aquinas Institute. They make pretty good videos. I really like it, and their theme. I love good branding. When a company or an organization like devotes a good amount of time to their branding, I recognize it. I'm in good, Joker. How about you, dog? So you have our boy Thomas, he came up with some stuff about there's two kind of categories of virtue. And the interesting thing about virtue, which might sound counterintuitive, is to be virtuous, you must not apply yourself. Not apply yourself. Let me take that back. Maybe the word is to know you're doing it. For example, you would think the person who is virtuous is one who is constantly thinking about these things and doing them. But it is actually more virtuous just to be doing those things almost like out of habit than it is to be applying yourself. I guess one of the best examples is like riding a bike. Like if you have to think about riding your bike, you're probably really not good at riding a bike. But if you never think about riding a bike, it means you're probably really good at it. What is up, Warden of the Sand? Yo, working and working. I love that dog. I just be yapping and chapping. Or yapping and chatting. There we go. What is chapping? My lips are all chapped. That's what that means. Ooh. But we read Ecclesiastes. Now I'm talking about Thomistic virtues. So think about that word, by the way. Can you explain the joy it is for offspring to come to Jesus? I'm still kind of high. I love that, dude. That's amazing. So that might sound counterintuitive, and it's kind of like, well, how do I know if I'm doing that correctly if I don't think about doing? Like, how do I know if I'm being nice if I'm not actively pursuing to be nice? I think that comes with time. You know what I mean? In the same way, things just become a second nature. Maybe like reading your Bible. Like maybe you right now don't think about, oh, I gotta go read my Bible. Oh, I'm gonna do this. You just kind of pick it up and read. Like that's a good muscle you built. But when you started out, wherever place you work, you probably didn't do that. And I think that goes to show. So now that's a virtue. Bible reading, awesome. Not necessarily, but almost just using an example. So there's two virtues for us, which are the moral virtues and the intellectual virtues. So the moral are perfect and guide our acts of intellect and will and our emotions. Sometimes these words, because I can't remember what language he spoke. Was he Greek or something like that? Was he Italian? Was it Latin? That's what it was. Thomas Aquinas. Language. Yeah, Latin. He was a lad. Anyways, Italian. And I think the Italian words have more, or the Latin words, actually. Now that I say that, y'all remember, what's his name? Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was Greek. No, what was he? No, he was Latin. What was he? I think he was Latin. But he actually wrote, because he was bilingual, I think he wrote his like personal diary, his meditations in Greek because I thought it just had better words. How awesome is that? Like they better described what he was thinking. How cool is that? You know what I mean? To be bilingual and be like, oh, this language better suits what I need it for. It's like, oh, that's so cool. Anyways, that just made me think of that. So we got language going into English, and sometimes Latin's going to be a little bit more like, what is up, BMD Zoe? What is up, BMD Zoe? Tell me about yourself. Oh, my fault. I see why that got flagged. No worries. At the end of the day, it's true. Zoe, how's your day? Is that how I pronounce it? And welcome in. We read Ecclesiastes not too long ago. I'm talking about Thomistic virtues right now. It was in reference to this, of course. So, anyways, sometimes the words are really difficult. So if you just don't understand the definition of stuff, I probably don't either. So just look them up at this point. You got prudence, which is the virtue of right reason applied to action. It enables us to choose the right means to achieve the good. You got justice, the virtue that gives each person their due, promoting fairness and respecting in relationships, not just relationships in like romantic ways, but like just how people talk. Who's who. Fortitude, which is such a fun word, the virtue that strengthens us to face fear and endure hardship in pursuit of what is good. And then temperance, the virtue that moderates our desires and pleasures, keeping them in balance with reason. And temperance is a really interesting one because of, think about food. An individual, like a grown man, is going to need more food than a child. So that's what that last part means, in reason, because you can't give, kids food to a grown man, vice versa. So within reason, everybody's a little bit different. So you have to make sure you know what's good for you and what's too much. And these are so interlinking. You can't just figure out one. Like they're like pillars. Like he categorized them in such these ways where in order to have justice, you got to have a good amount of prudence and a little bit of fortitude. It's such an interesting thing. There's a whole video. There's a whole series on this. And then you got the intellectual virtues that perfect the mind's ability to know truth and act rightly, both in theory and in practice. And one of these I think is accidentally copied and pasted wrongly, but that's besides the point. So you got understanding, which is kind of thrown in there, I think. The habit of intuitively grasping basic truths or first principles without needing proof. Science, the virtue of theologically reasoning from known principles to reach their conclusions about the world. Wisdom, the highest intellectual virtue, which sees all things in relation to God as the ultimate cause and goal. Art, the practical skill of making or producing things according to right reason. And then prudence again. So prudence was an interesting one because it's a little bit different apparently. I don't know how. It's just how they explain it. The virtue of applying the right reason to moral action, choosing highly in concrete situations. What the heck? Mr. B has a gigabyte? No Cap King? What is that even referred to? But so these are the things that we can act on as individuals in our life now. And the idea is that these become second nature so that we don't have to think about these things actively. And that is what it would mean to be virtuous, a virtuous individual. You're not virtuous because you're trying. You're virtuous because you have achieved it, which is kind of, that's not how I thought of it anyways. And this is Thomas's, this is how he compartmentalizes it into the basic, functions. These are the, a giga brain. There we go. I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. No State Farm. So that's that. But there's a realm of virtue, in which we cannot access ourselves. These are the theological virtues. Everybody say, ooh. There's faith. So theological virtues infused by God into the soul, directing us supernaturally toward Him as our ultimate end. You got faith by the virtue by which we believe in God and all that we has revealed, trusting His truth and above our understanding. So again, this is because, which is interesting because Thomas would be more Catholic, and that sounds very monergist by him. Interesting. Hope, the virtue by which we confidently trust that God will give us eternal life and the grace needed to attain it. And of course, charity, the virtue by which we love God above all things and our neighbor as ourselves for God's sake. So these are things that man cannot obtain. I'll say it, or sorry, maybe. Yeah, they can't. Man cannot work on that. That must be God given. Is the best way I can explain that, which is really interesting. So again, I haven't fully worked all these things out, but it is I'll give you the link to the Thomas Thomistic Institute, Aquinas. What was it? Aquinas Institute. I did a certification. I mean, it's barely a certification as much as it is a you know, participation trophy. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, you did the classes, great. So I think it might have been. Which one did I do? I might have deleted that too. Dang. Why did I do that? Such a shame, bro. How about I log in like a goofy goob? Which one did I do? That's my chair, by the way. I won't be able to do it again, but that's just my luck. My courses? Yeah, was virtue. I did all these videos, and there's like little questions they give you. I'm a goofy goober. So check that out if you want. If you dare. If you dare. And they wear these cool like robe things, which is kind of tough. Kind of looks like my blanket. But anyways, I think I'm gonna call it a night, bro. Any burning questions? Probably gonna play Satisfaction until my eyes pop out of my head. And actually, I got church in the morning, so I probably won't do that. Actually, any theology questions I could help? Be afraid to ask stupid questions. Mr. B, yes. When is the convenient time to VC with you in the future? Just text me on the log. Probably at night. Who's ready for worship tomorrow? Chat. So real, so real. I got a lot of questions about it. You can ask a bunch. Ask me what else you want, dude. There's a church I want to try out. Actually, I'm thinking about going to a Lutheran church. Actually, on the log. It's gonna be a little bit further, which is kind of lame-o. But we're just gonna see. Where did you see? If God is omnipresent, then why does he need angels for being messengers? Same reason he does anything, because he wants to. He doesn't need them. Um, he doesn't need you. He wants to. He does. Why does God, make it rain on that Tuesday? It's like, because he did. That's just the way he did it. It's kind of an unsatisfying answer, but I think that's the best answer we can give. Like, he definitely could just like beam messages into people's brains and stuff like that. I mean, they're just servants. You know what I mean? That might be more of a God question than a Mr. B question. Like, why did you create the seraphim? Why did you create this? It's like, because I want to. It's like, it's just an expression of him. The same way, he created the cosmos. He didn't need to, but he did. And, he created just for beauty, for, all that stuff. Do you believe that angels can actually impregnate? No, I don't. As far as I can tell, I don't think the Nephilim are impregnated by angels. I don't think. First off, I don't think they have the capability for that. I don't think angels can reproduce. Like, that just doesn't make sense. I think there's a set number of angels, and that's it. Because angels aren't man. I don't think they're animals neither. They're spiritual beings with form. So I don't think they would have, you would have to assume that they have sperm. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a weird. I think it's a big jump to assume they have sperm. Because they also have like 8 eyes, a bunch of wings. Like, I just don't think that's that. And the other thing is to assume that, yeah, I just think that's a bit of I think that's a reach. I get where they're coming from, but for me, I just take Occam's razor. So what most likely happened was probably not angels. Dog. After the last couple of years trying to find a good church, I got to drive about a half an hour to the one we ended up joining versus 5 to 10 minutes for all the ones nearby, but it's still worth the extra time to get a real preaching with a word and fellowship. While it may seem like the drive a bit further, it ends up touching your soul, I promise. Yeah, that's kind of the move, to be honest. And then one thing that sucks, I'm just so introverted. I'm so freaking introverted, it sucks. Like, I just want to be that outgoing guy, that great Gatsby. Hey, how you doing today? I love that, but I'm just not that. And I just, I always feel like I'm just not really doing what I need to do in my church body because, I'm just such a lame-o. I'm just introverted. I think I'm natural. It's not like what's up, Junior Smith? Listen to Candle's Blaze, great Christian music. I never heard of this group, but I'll definitely give them a listen, Brachacho. Say about yourself, Junior Smith. I think I might have one of their songs, actually. Do I? Heck no, I don't have one of their songs, bro. Are they just screamo? Anyways. Yeah, I'm just so freaking introverted. Anyways. I'm underneath this belief, but a lot of others believe differently. Yeah. And it's funny. Usually the people who have like the strongest beliefs about the more like questionable stuff about scripture are the ones who just have like the worst theology you've ever heard in your life. Like they're like so gung ho about the Nephilim. Like they got it down to a science. But you ask them about soteriology, and they're like, well, it's just like, are you stupid? Like, soteriology is one of the most important. What is Christology? Like, it's like, dude, but you worked out all this other stuff. Put your priorities in order, mate. Get your priorities in order. Most frustrating thing I think there is, and it's not because they're pursuing education. It's you pursue it in the wrong order. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta get the important things down. I was Oregon, but now you're talking about language. It wasn't part of the reason for the flood that angels love of man and the abomination known as the Nephilim. I'm pretty sure that part is biblical. I don't think it was just because of Nephilim. I think it was just evil was all over the world. We just read through Genesis the other day. It was before Ecclesiastes. We read in 2 days. I didn't read it was because Nephilim thus flood. It was just there was so much evil everywhere. We can go through it. Someone give me verses and stuff if you want. So I love to be an extrovert, but I'm timid compared to many others. Stream was his thing. Whatever. That guy, we really, yeah, I know. I'd love to be just, I think I got the capabilities. Like everybody got capabilities. And I'm probably more outgoing with my friends, but I just really don't like people. Like I just really don't. Like it just gets to that point. I'm just like, I just want to be a hermit, not talking to anybody. But I love my mates. You know what I mean? I would love to just hang out with my mates all the time. I'm more outgoing with my mates. My thing is, if angels were able to impregnate and the impregnation was an issue that caused a flood, then why would God allow impregnation? That may not due to the fact that He is the one that creates. Well, then why does He let man procreate? You know what I mean? What do you think about the idea that the dead are resting until Judgment Day? That's a fun one. What's that called? Soul sleep? I think it's lame. I just don't know where people find that idea. I think heaven is active. I think we can have multiple verses of that. You got the saints who are more alive than ever. We got the cloud of witnesses and stuff. We're just like, okay, that's got to be something. On this day you'll be with me in paradise. Like that's interesting. You got the parable of the what's his name of Lazarus? No, was it Lazarus brothers? And he was like, put a drop of water on my tongue. It's like, okay, well something's going on here. And a really interesting take. I'm not gonna use that one. It's actually probably not the strongest case. I was gonna say the one where he uses a medium. It was the evil guy. It was the I can't remember his name. I think he was trying to find where David was, and he used the medium to find out. And he was like, "Why did you call me out of this?" Just like three alternatives to what that medium really was. But regardless, yeah, I think Jesus speaks as if it's current. Paradise is current. There's stuff currently going on. So if I just take it at face value, it seems that they're not just going and waiting. So that's my thoughts. Again, I'm not really opening a Bible right now, but I can make better cases. Of course, this is just off rip. My understanding was they were the offspring of fallen angels and humans, and of course I'm totally down with more research. But if I wasn't mistaken, most of these things were the Bible and not from Apocrypha. Maybe I haven't read the Apocrypha. It's a really long time or studied the subject much. And that idea, again, Apocrypha is just Apocrypha for a reason. I think that all boils down to choice. God allows us to have a choice, and I don't think it's beyond the angels as well. The fallen ones chose to reject God, even though they were worshiping. And working for Him in heaven. Why would you allow a third of your workforce to attempt a coup? We don't know his reasoning, but I gotta say it's fascinating me all the same. Real. I think the best verse to show heaven is active is when Jesus told the thief that, yeah, today be with him in paradise. Yeah, just the language definitely sounds to be like there's definitely something immediately after death. Let me pull up where do we even put out the Bible? Okay. This is interesting. So let's take a look at this. I want this tab. This is Genesis 6:4. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Off rip. Off rip. Where does it say it was angels? Do we have a verse for that directly? Oh, it's just going to be this, the sons of God, isn't it? Or was that? 4. So that's going to be the problem. Who is this referring to? The sons of God. And then this was the other one. Verse 33. So this is Numbers 13. So they brought to the people of Israel a better part of the land, and when they had spied out, saying that the land through which we have gone out to spy is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in that area of great height. Is that? And there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who came from the Nephilim. And we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. So when did Anak get there? I just looked that up. Dang. Anak, homophone to a word for giant. Interesting. Mentioned in narratives concerning the conquest of Canaan by the Israelites according to the book of Numbers, and it was a forefather Anakim. Hello, Will. How you doing, bud? Where are we at? Holy moly. I was not looking at the chat. Here's a question I've been pondering. What was the purpose of Earth being created? This question was proposed to me with the notion that it was for soteriological reasons, for the soul of the world to be fulfilled by Jesus. I don't think so. I don't think that like that. I don't really know how that even like make sense, to be honest. The earth was created just for Jesus to come to earth. I don't think that's the reason. I think the reason is just the same reason he made anyone, just because he wanted to share creation with people, with his creation. It's like, why do you have kids? It's not just because you got freak, it's because you want to have a kid. So he wanted to have creation, and he got it. So it's material so that we can exist in it. And, you know, he made us in the Imago Dei, so like, that's cool. And that's really it. You know what I mean? Literally because he wanted to, which kind of sounds lame, but it's literally, I don't think there could be any other reason than that. The only thing I was struggling with as far as the afterlife is if we die and go to heaven, we're still going to be a resident rapture. The parts of me, yeah, 100%. So when you go to heaven, if you die right now and go to heaven, you're not resurrected. You are kind of just I think it's to be like a localized body or something like this. I don't know how it works in the spiritual realm. But yeah, when time is up and we got the judgment day and the new heavens and new earth, you will be resurrected. So you will get your old body again, and it's gonna be made new, kind of like Jesus, So that's really tough. I guess the next text sounds like they influenced men of old, not only them. What discusses other people about the angels wanting to procreate was about the covering of women's hair when a worship because the jaws are near. If that's the case, don't you think, like, if that's really the case, there's so, like, everyone today would be just giants because there's so many uncovered hair. So many women with uncovered hair. I think that's a stretch, to be honest. Surprised to see me here this late? Not real. So that raises the question, Goliath was a giant and a Philistine, right? So would he mean were other giants other than Nephilim, or was he one of them? I think because we have to be careful, like, when we mean giants, like, what do we really mean? Because I have no problem if it was like Shaq and his family. I have no problem saying, "Oh, there's a bunch of giants over there." Like, "Oh, yeah, we're cooked." But usually, like when we say giants, we think of the mystical size. Their foot implant is in the ground, and you could sit in it. Type of giant. You know what I mean? What's that green? The green dude, not the Hulk. He's like on the bag for peas and stuff. The Green Giant, is that his name? The Green. Yeah, the Jolly Green Giant. That guy. I think that's what I think when I hear a giant, and I really don't think that's what happened. I think there's just short people and tall people will have a community of tall people, and short people will have a community of short people, and that just is what happens. And especially during these times of war, you know what I mean? It's not like just have a civilization. You're gonna be scared of the guys who are 3 times your height, because why would you not? It's like, I don't think Goliath was a giant in the sense of Jolly Green the Giant. I think it was a giant in the sense of, like, he just towered over people like Shaq or something like that. And I think it, like, again, Occam's razor would have to be, this is just, genetics. Well, a lot of things were giants back in the days because of the auction of that's when they summarize. I mean, yeah, I'm fine with 9 foot tall, but I'm, that's still, how tall is Shaq? I've never seen Shaq in real life before. So he'd be 7'1", add another 2 feet. Tallest man alive. It's 8'2". Yeah, I could imagine all these people being 8, 9 feet. You know what I mean? So we're separating that phone from Rolling Giants. That's kind of after that. I don't think they're different. I think like the Shaqs of this world were just giants then. I think we've mythicized them. Septuagint says he was 6'9". What? I would still say that's a giant. You know what I mean? Robert Wardle, my great aunt grew up with that dude. Robert. Oh, I see him. I see him. Oh wow, that's pretty interesting fact, isn't it? The champion came out and canceled Philistines, Goliath from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits of span, and 6. I think cubit is like a forearm. I don't think that was a good gesture that I just did. Biblical cubit. Oh, elbow to middle finger. Roughly 17 to 21 inches. Well, we'll average 18. No, 18, 19. Probably 19 right there. 19 inches times, we'll do, he's 6 foot or 6 cubit divided by 12. Which is 9, dude. That's 9. 19 times 6 is 114, which is divided by, that's each inch divided by 12 is 9. Where'd you get 6? What if I did on the shoulder? It's gotta be at least like minimum 8 feet tall. MC's 9'9". Holy moly. Bible Bot is apparently using Masoretic text, not the LXX. That's why. Makes sense. Regardless, I think we'd all assume a really tall dude. I'm showing 6'3", so that's very close. Kind of demystifies the narrative. I think that's literally what happened. I believe it when you say giant. I see. Right. I mean, like, have you ever just been out in a store and you just see a really tall dude? I mean, they're not like crazy, but now think about it. Remember military times. Remember what the Romans did? They would just kill people who were just weak. Not what was this? No, that wasn't Rome. That was I'm thinking of Sparta. They're like very like barbaric. You know what I mean? Just kill the weak ones. So what they probably did is if they were like short, probably just killed them. So that they made the genetic pool everybody just like really tall because you gotta remember this is like wartime, and you probably want to be the biggest. So you know what I mean? I think that makes sense to me. It's just, you know what I mean? Again, Occam's razor. I really don't think these were iron giants, freaking. And again, yeah. I'm 5'11", but next to some Filipinos, I'm enormous. Right, I think, you just got a short group of people, and then you got a tall group of people. I'd say they're giants, no problem. If I saw a bunch of Shaqs running around, dude, poof. Forget it. You would be rightly scared. Armored to the teeth, and you got nothing? Oh, yeah, they're freaking giants, dude. So, you wouldn't want to fight a dude who's the same size as you, let alone maybe double. You know what I mean? So, and this is another thing that we have to take into account. So, which is a little bit it's difficult, but we have to remember culture at this point, because I can't remember where it was, but there's these texts that refer to Israel wiping out a whole nation, and later on we just see them pop up. We're like, okay, so did they or did they not wipe them out? You mean like scripture like reads it as if like they just executed everybody right then and there. That was the end of it, and then just pop up later. So I was like, okay, what's going? How do we hold these two? Well, if you think about it in war terms, if you decimated a city, it doesn't mean you execute every single people. It means you have control, and they lost the fight. Whatever it was, they lost the fight. It doesn't mean you killed everybody. Um, in the same way, if you're winning a football game, you could say, we murdered them, or we dominated, we killed them. You didn't really kill them. You know what I mean? You won the game in a very easy way. So if one tribe is going to fight another and they just really take the cake, I would think they would just say, yeah, we dominated them, especially in Near Eastern culture. Just whoever's in control won. I don't think they're counting each body. Being like, okay, let's tally it up. Let's think about the timing. Who came in at this time, who came in at that time. Let's think about who really won. They're not judges. They're just saying, okay, yeah, we won. I mean, it was pretty easy. So if we use that logic for other places of scripture, why would we not use that for more of these guys? Yeah. Usurp. Remember that scene in Troy when they send their giant? I don't think I watched Troy. Goliath would have been an NBA player. 100%, yeah. It's kind of like what the NBA is right now. Like a bunch of just tall dudes. So you would think everybody who's tall would just stay in that tribe. And that makes so much sense. Because that's what we do for basketball. I mean, of course you got like smaller dudes, but you want the big dudes. Those are my two thoughts. Of course, it's there's always more. Any other burning questions that I can answer, just like off rip? Any burning questions? You're gonna get like a half. You're gonna get a 50% answer, dude. I talked about Aquinas, by the way. Well, our boy. One out of 10, guys. Come on. Not everybody all at once. Bro, Redeem Zoomer typed in the chat. He literally typed in the chat on Discord. That's such a crazy sight to see. Okay. Let's see if we can read out too. I've chimed in because I love things related to the heavenly realm. Can't think of anything off the top of the realm. You gotta chime in whenever you want, dude. You have rights. How do I rate out? That's weird. There's things we'll never understand this side of, and it's so true. What do we? What do we? All right. What does the RS claim? I don't care anymore. You know we got a radar sister, bro. Like, okay. Good night, everybody. Awesome chatting with you folks. You guys know I don't really go outside, so being able to chat with you guys is awesome. Oh, concept my friend. Hold on, we just cancel this. A concept my friends and I were discussing at one point was the idea that in the beginning was a word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. This is true. We can all agree that that was Jesus, right? Yes. So, John 1. So how about the idea that when God did things back then, he was moving through Christ? That's kind of the concept, actually. Jesus was the creating agent in the beginning. I was like, when it all happened. I was like, what's the word? I think that's the idea. So yeah, we could say God created everything because Christ created everything. And because, and this would be a direct claim because in John 1 it was the I think that's what Scripture is really pointing to. Like if you really think about it, because everything made came through Christ. I think that's what John 1 says. Can we go to a chat? See, everything that was made, not nothing that wasn't made. Something like really trippy. In the beginning was a word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. So this is the same way of saying like, you know, it's the best, like, what would you say? I don't know. It was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So what this is referring to is if Christ was a created being, which he isn't because he's God, then this would be void because he was created. All things are made through him. Nothing, and without him was not anything made that was made. So this is saying if the Word made everything, then the Word cannot make itself. Thus the Word must pre-exist. And what do we call that? Well, it helps right here. We can call that God. And then 14, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. So, Word became flesh. What a way! This is Jesus. What do we? So yeah. Usually, it's Christ is seen as the creating agent in the creation story. I think. And maybe I just spewed out some heresy, so who knows. But yeah, W Friends for talking about that. We love to see that. W Friends talking about theology and God. Hex yeah. So right at the beginning was Jesus, and Jesus was with God, and Jesus was God. Right. Next, I was just about to rate out what are we doing. Good morning, Miss Nookser. It's 1 a.m. and I got charged in the morning. I cannot stay up if I wanted to. I thought about, I'm going to go play my video game. I'm like, I can't remember how to do that. Good night, you people. And go to church tomorrow. And like literally, whatever. I didn't actually. Thank you, everyone. Yes, sleep well, everybody. God bless you all. You're right on time, Martin. You can whenever you want. We also got a server if you want. You can talk all theology and a bunch of stuff like that. It's really just like at this point it's like a group chat with like 4 people. It's just really quiet over there. I would love to see more action over there. And sometimes I try to like step back because I feel like I'm just like replying to everyone's message. Like this is so annoying. I don't want to be overbearing like that. So with that said, it was good seeing you, Joker, Nookster, Warden, Sydney, Will, Big Stack. What do we think? That's everybody. What do we? Anybody who's lurking, I recognize you. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see y'all next stream whenever I feel like it. Goodbye, everybody.